All right, and welcome to the Friday Reload number 7. Now, some of the headlines this week include how to get your blog post read, new copywriting formula, which is actually an old copywriting formula, increase email subscribers, and whiteboard videos. So what we aim to do with our Friday Reload is get you caught up on what you might have missed in the week. We summarize and cut through the fluff to give you just the information that you need. So if there's a huge 2,000 word article and the relevant piece is 20 words, we're giving you the 20 words and saving you the time. Now, if you do enjoy the Friday Reloads, sign up for our mailing list at digitaltriggers.io. We use the mailing list to get feedback from our readers and provide special offers. So this is for the week of June 20th, 2014. So we're going to start off on kind of a grim note here. Rest in peace, Reportive. LinkedIn kills the features that made it great. So in case you missed the news recently on TechCrunch, basically Reportive is not going to be so great anymore. Now Reportive, if you haven't seen it, is an awesome email widget, and it shows up to the right. So whenever you go to send someone an email, it pulls in data from Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and you get to know a lot more about the person. You know, you get to see their recent tweets, job descriptions, all of that. Now, back in 2012, LinkedIn acquired them for $15 million. But now, normally, as tends to happen with these kind of things, they're removing all the features that people like. So they're removing wraplets, they're removing notes, but the big thing is they're changing the functionality now, so Facebook and Twitter aren't going to display unless the person has opted in, but if they're listed on their LinkedIn, but it's basically very rare. Pretty disappointing overall. This piece by Full Contact does cover some alternatives. I took a look at them. Not too impressed, not too thrilled by them. So hopefully a suitable alternative will emerge. I mean, there's obviously a market for it and demand. It's already proven and it got sold. Kind of interesting how that works sometimes. Next up, we have how to get your blog post read. Now this comes to us from Neil Patel, and he starts with a pretty simple question. Have you ever wondered whether people are actually reading your blog posts? Him, being the Neil that he is, he ran a crazy egg test, which is kind of the image that you're seeing, an eye test, or a heat map test, I'm sorry. And he wanted to see what people actually read. So the results were about 40% read each blog post, but with testing he was able to get it up to 65%. I've outlined some of the major takeaways, and it's also worth noting that this blog post is an excellent example of building content based around your own software, which in this case is Crazy Egg for Neil. So the first thing is use lots of headlines, bullets, lists, and block quotes. By using the headlines, headings, bullets, lists, and block quotes, he was able to increase the average time you spend reading each blog post by 31 seconds. That small tweak increased his time on site 17.8%. Now you should know time on site, kind of a big deal, especially for the big Google. Lesson 2, try to keep your post under 1,500 words. So if you are going over that, try to split it up into a 2-part series. Now this kind of runs contrary to what we typically hear as far as bigger, longer content, but you're always going to hear different things. Lesson number 3, this one's kind of interesting. Pictures can be distracting. So posts with greater than 3 images get read by roughly 15% than those with fewer than 3 images. So the time on site for posts with 3 or more images was also shorter by 26 seconds, which is about 15% of the average time that people spend on average on Neil's site. So what this means is use images when it makes sense. You want the images to add to the content. You don't want them to just be distracted by the images. I mean, I still think if you can tell a story within your images, you're going to do very well. But you don't want to just throw in too many random images just for the sake of it. So 3 seems to be the sweet spot number. Number 4, create a conversation. Neil tries to use the words you and I a lot within his blog posts. Number 5, don't forget to include a conclusion. This kind of reminds me of the too long didn't read, which is very popular on internet forums. Writing conclusions and clearly labeling them got 10% of people to scroll further down. And he also noticed that it kind of created a pattern where readers would scroll down to the end and then scroll back up. And number 6, increase your font size and spacing. So increasing the font size from 8 to 9 increased average on time site by 13 seconds, 9 to 10 another 8 seconds, 10 to 11 another 6 seconds, 11 to 12 not a huge effect for them. Also, it needs to be a readable font such as Arial, Times, or Georgia. I believe he himself is using Times or Georgia in a size 11 font. And I know that I will be changing our site to a size 11 font as well. So, food for thought, my friends. Next up, we have, and this is pretty cool, master this copywriting formula to dominate any social media platform. So, some of you may be familiar with AIDA, which is referred to as a copywriting formula: attention, interest, desire, action. And I've heard the Frank Kern one before. What you got, what do you want them, what it'll do for them, and what you want them to do, something to that effect. But this new one is problem, agitate, solve. Simple, but good. So problem, you identify your reader's pain points. Agitate, you stir it up so it hurts to the point of discomfort. And then solve, you deliver a solution. So it was originally posted by the Copybot back in 2011, and I've included 2 examples from that post. So one is actually, fittingly enough, how you could write short sales copy for Crazy Egg's heat map tool. Losing visitors? Question mark. Every website loses visitors, but for every person who bails is lost income. And it seems like things are getting worse. If you want to stem that downward spiral, then use the heat map tool by Crazy Egg to optimize your site based on your visitors' usage patterns. So, reader's pain point, losing visitors. Agitate, every website loses visitors, you're losing income, and it seems like things are getting worse. Solution, if you want to stop this downward spiral, here's our tool that optimizes your site. The next one is an example of how TechCrunch could do it. Are you always the last one to get the scoop on technology startup trends? It wouldn't be so bad, but your job demands you stay current, otherwise your competition gets a jump and profits when you don't. Instead, subscribe to TechCrunch and start getting the scoop first so you can leave your competition in the dust. Now, what I really like about this copywriting formula is the simplicity of it. I feel like copywriting, especially, I mean, you look at guys like Colin Theroux, and it just has this mystique to it, and it's this weird combination of science and creativity. And you know, copywriters are usually, I mean, you look at Gary Halbert, they usually have this kind of, or John Carlton, they have this just mystique around them, is the best way that I can describe it. So I'd like something like this that's a nice formula and kind of can bring it back for the quote-unquote average person and make it easier for them to still kind of figure out how they can write short, punchy copy. Next up, unbounce. 4 ways to turn boring transactional emails into cash. So, not a huge surprise here. When you are not blasting out a promotion, your emails actually get opened a lot more. Now, according to this article, transactional emails are opened over twice the rate of promotional and newsletter emails. Kind of makes sense, right? You got to open to find out your login, or you want to check the receipt. You know, these are things you're going to want to look at. You need to look at. So how can we take advantage of that is what the article kind of pokes at, and they provide a few different examples. Now, the first example is to recommend related products or features. So when you're sending receipts, feature announcements, or other kind of similar emails, you know, it's easy to miss the opportunity to re-engage customers. Expedia does this well with links to buy to book a hotel or a car and find activities. So that's one of their examples that I liked. They also talk about linking deep and smart, and this one is basically make it easy for your customers. So, you know, you're sending them an email and you want to take them as deep as possible within your site as you can. And the best way I can explain this is the Amazon example. So when Amazon sends you an email and asks for a rating, the rating has 5 stars that you can choose from. Now, each star is separately linked to a unique page with your pre-filled star review rating. So if I click on 3 stars, it's going to take me to that page, and it's already going to have 3 stars filled out and ready to go. If I click on 5 stars, it's going to take me to that page. It's already going to have 5 stars filled out and ready to go. This is somewhat similar to the practice of people are doing with pre-filled webinar registrations and things like that. At the end of the day, the easier you make it for people, the more you're going to increase conversions. I mean, the more you can decrease clicks, the more you're going to increase conversions. Next, they talk about encouraging, sharing, and referrals. So encouraging, sharing, and referrals is number 3. Now, the example that they used that I really liked was Skillshare. So encourage your paying customers to refer new customers for you. Groupon Living Social, we know, has done this really well. Now, the Skillshare example is a simple, clean email receipt, and there's a $10 offer below. So for those of you listening, hey, thank you for your purchase. This is your receipt for the order. It has, the graphics for the receipt, the amount they paid. Then below it, there's a little graphic of, a dollar bill wrapped, and it says refer a friend, get $10. If your friend enrolls in this course, you'll give them a $10 discount, and you'll get $10 back from Skillshare. How awesome is that? Get your referral link by visiting your class page. Simple but effective. I like it. I really like it. It'd be interesting to see what results they've seen from this, but it does seem like a pretty small tweak to add, and I can see it doing pretty huge returns. Now the last one is kind of funny almost. Make customers feel good. So send a warm receipt rather than making it feel like a bland transaction. Have a little bit of personality and color, and make your customers feel good rather than it's just another number to you or another cog in the system. So the famous example is CD Baby, who talks about I'll just read you the beginning. Your CD has been gently taken from our CD Baby shelves with sterilized, contamination-free gloves and placed on a satin pillow. A team of 50 employees inspected your CD and polished it to make sure it was in the best possible condition before mailing. And it goes on, but the point is, send them something fun. Send them, show a little bit of your personality and who your company is here, instead of just, hey, thanks for the $90. Next up, we have a tale of 2 launches. One made $43,000 and the other made negative $1,000. Now, I kind of changed this headline personally because I didn't like it. I said how email made the difference between losing $1,300 and earning $43,000. So basically, they focus on the launch and 2 different launches that a man did. And the big difference here is basically he built a customer list and he marketed to them. And he listened to what people wanted instead of trying to figure out what people wanted. So not to downplay that, because he's achieved some great success and I like it, but what I really think the meat here is how he got the emails. So here are 3 different tactics that he used to collect email addresses. Now this is coming from Brian Harris of Video Fruit, and this was written on Lead Pages. I want to give him credit because he seems like a swell guy. So number 1, post specific opt-in bonuses. Now I've heard about great success with this tactic, and you might notice that Conversion Cast does it a lot. We too might start doing it, but only if we have the traffic numbers to justify it is what I recommend, because I think creating specific opt-ins for each content piece, really that's a lot of work, and I don't know if the conversions necessarily justify it. But if it does, Brian mentions that it has produced opt-in rates as high as 62% for him. So what he does is he includes a bonus resource section specific to the content. And it's kind of smart. It's a good way to kind of cut the fat and just have the meat of your post. But at the bottom, it's like, hey, you like this post? Here's a little bit extra that maybe didn't make the cut. Now, next up, he talks about, and here is a quick example of it for you guys that are watching on the, I'll just read it, hey. 8 types of call to actions you should absolutely try on your blog is the topic. Now, the specific call to action is 50 customizable calls to action, sorry about that, free PowerPoint templates. Man, I'm just going over this, huh? So he's giving you a valuable resource that's related to the blog post title. Now, hey, this makes sense, but he put in the time and effort, saw that it worked well. So next up, he talks about the hello bar and Lead Pages to resurface old content. So basically, just as the title says, he uses Hello Bar, and the example he used was download my personal swipe file of 100 plus landing pages. Nothing too crazy there, but hey, Hello Bar works. Use it. Lastly, he says sidebar widget landing pages. Now, I mentioned myself that I've seen this tactic used successfully by Pat Flynn and Entrepreneur on Fire. So what Brian did is he cleared out his sidebar completely and only included 2 graphics. Now, these 2 graphics both lead to landing pages for old popular posts, but he reformats these posts as ebooks. So the 2 that he's linking to is the Ultimate Guide and the Get Your First $3,000 Contract. So pretty cool. He also, as you can see here in the video, he fixed it so that the graphics continue as you scroll down. Kind of similar to how those floating social bars on the left will continue to float down. So overall, pretty cool. I really like how he repurposes the content. And you know, they're already on your blog and reading, so hey, let's send them to more content that we have, and let's get them to opt in. Let's get them to check it out. So thought that's pretty cool. Next up, we have Meeting Hero. Now their headline is great, and this was originally seen on Product Hunt. Meeting Hero claims to fix meetings by making them highly productive and engaging. So say goodbye to soul-crushing meetings. Meeting Hero makes it easy for you and your team to have highly productive, engaging meetings. So some of the key features include real-time collaboration, shorter, focused meetings, ease of use on phones, tablets, and computers, and it's also free. So really, I mean, the best way I can kind of describe this is it gives you discussion topics, decisions, action items, private notes. It kind of gives you a public Trello board that you can use. Seems pretty cool. I mean, one of the reviews left on Product Hunts by Martin Bavo said, I just tried it for a meeting, and I have to say I really love the fact is the interface is 100% real time. So it really feels collaborative to fill meeting notes with a group at the same time. So pretty cool, huh? The focus, you know, is kind of on the meeting agenda, notes, and goals, and not necessarily the call itself. So it's almost more like a meeting planning tool rather than it is a meeting recording tool necessarily. But still very useful. I mean, hey, we all know meetings is a problem and they take up too much time. Next up, we have the wonderful misleading title of the day. And this is how to make more money in AdWords by spending less. And this one comes to us from Unbounce. Now, the super quick cliff notes of this is that conversion rates do not change with your ad position. So if you're spending more money for a higher ad position, you're going to generate more clicks, but you're not going to generate more conversions per click. And the really basic example would be, think about bidding, you know, $10 for a keyword compared to bidding $5 for a keyword, and your conversion is a static 10%. Now, if you bid more money, you're going to be higher up, so you're going to get more clicks overall. But if you're converting at 10%, and you know, let's not jump too far into it, but the basic idea is, if you're not making money at 10% and that $5 a click, you're going to really be hurting, you know, spending double for that. So basically, you need to keep that in mind. So they give the example of a losing campaign. So say you have a website that sells ladies' shoes and you find that the exact match keyword is ladies' shoes, converts at 2%. With an average purchase amount of $60, out of which $30 is profit. Now, if your average cost per click for this keyword is $2, you'll get $30 in profit for every $100 that you spend. So in other words, you will lose $70 on average for each sale you make. Now, winning campaign. This means that for the 50 clicks that it takes you to get one conversion, you can only afford to pay $30. So accordingly, your max cost per click should only be about 60 cents a click. If you adjust your max cost per click for that keyword to 60 cents, you'll hit your target of breaking even for each new customer you acquire through AdWords. They go on to mention, though, that, you know, adjusting your cost per click from that $2 to 60 cents, you might get those same clicks you used to get. It might take you 8 weeks. It might take you a lot longer, but it's still worth it, because at the end of the day, what's the point of a losing campaign? That doesn't make sense. So the main key here that you want to focus on is improving your conversion rate or increasing your lifetime customer value. The article does go over both a bit more. So if this sounds interesting, something you need help with, head on over to the blog, digitaltriggers.io. Look for the Friday reload number 7. Shouldn't be hard to find. You can search. We have categories. And then you can head on over to that. We'll have that Unbounce link there. Now we also have this little bonus tip. If this interests you, check out the tools of Google AdWords Pro. 4 steps to optimize your AdWords campaign. Now this was a post by us where we break down 4 steps to optimizing your AdWords campaign like the pros do. Now this was actually written by someone who was training with us, and it was based on the things that they've learned from Ben Pate, who has spent over, I want to say $5 million in Google AdWords spend for clients. So I mean, this guy really knows his stuff. I mean, you can probably guess he wouldn't have spent that much money if he didn't know what he was doing. So check that out if the pay-per-click's interesting you. Now next up, we have something that's probably going to appeal to almost everyone. Now this is Google Chrome for marketers. 10 setup tips and 20 plus extensions you need to know. Now I first saw this, and basically my instinct was like, this is pointless. I'm sure I've seen most of this before, but the very first recommendation, and this is on Zapier by the way, was an extension that I use and love. So that connection made me go, okay, maybe there's something here. Now I'm going to cut to the chase. If you use Chrome, you got to check this out, because you're going to find at least one tip or trick that you hadn't seen before. Now they say that it's all about making the most out of an app where we spend 98% of our workday, the web browser. And it's interesting, but we don't really think of web browsers as apps in that way, or at least I don't personally, but they are. I mean, they really come a long way with extensions and all these different things that they do. So this covers different Chrome settings, features, and other things that he's come to rely on. He also goes over 24 add-ons that will add efficiency to your everyday marketing efforts. Now, I noticed a few tricks, like I said. So I really liked, for example, the Chrome profiles. So having different Chrome profiles with different extension sets. So when you are doing a webinar or a screencast like this, for example, I should have a different profile open with, just no extensions in it. That way the browser will be a lot more lightweight, and overall it'll film better. And I don't have anything running that might mess up what I'm trying to record on the screen. Next up, we have the quickest story. And this comes to us from Lead Pages, how a one-word copy change boosted conversions by over 30% in this split test. Using free book demonstrates instead of new book demonstrates increased conversions by 30%. That's all. Cool. Nice tidbit, and saved you guys the time of reading and looking at all this stuff. So using free book demonstrate instead of new book demonstrate worked out very well for him. What this means is consider testing it for yourself, because at the end of the day, you should always still test things for yourself. Next up, this comes from LKR Social Media, but this is actually a post by Mr. Noah Kagan. And basically, AppSumo built a WordPress plugin called SumoMe. So they touted as 3 new WordPress plugins for scoring more shares, subscribers, and superfans. But it appears to be one plugin that does 3 different functions. Now, the 3 different functions are the list builder, the image sharing, and the quote sharing. So what the list builder does is it's basically a popover. It pops over content. I'm sure you've seen it. You've seen it all the time, most likely. And you're going to increase your email signups. It's very well proven. And what's cool about this one, I do like this feature though, you can change your loading time. So you can either load it after 2 seconds, which is what Noah Kagan does, or you can load it after, say, a minute, so that person's really on your site and reading. Or it can be triggered to load when a visitor is about to leave your website. So you have some different features there you can play around with. Now the next up is the image share. So this is social sharing for images. Kind of reminds me of Flare and such. Basically, it puts a very nice little square overload of Twitter, Facebook, and Pinterest over each image. So if you hover over an image, you can click one of these, and then if you connect with the app, you can easily share the image. Now last is the highlighter. Now this one I'm not too big on. I like the idea, but I'm not huge on the execution. I find it to be a little bit clunky. But what it does is when someone highlights a part of your blog, the on-demand share box makes it easy to share either on Facebook or Twitter. Now, lastly, we have whiteboard tools and video tools. So I've been seeing a lot of product launches, a lot of different tools coming out, a lot of these kind of whiteboard scribe type tools. So I at least wanted to bring attention to these two more kind of SaaS type products. And hopefully, they'll fit your needs. So the first is videoscribe.co. Now, they describe it as VideoScribe is pure magic. Create your own whiteboard style animations with no design or technical know-how. Get your message across. So a little bit better to show than tell here. I have a video on the blog. Obviously, if you're listening, you cannot see that. And I'm not going to bludgeon you with that audio. But it seems pretty sweet, and a 7-day free trial is included. They have the ability to upload your own animations, and they have a marketplace with different illustrators, video producers, trainers, and voiceover artists. I mean, if you're looking to create an explainer type video, or you really like how those whiteboard videos look and you want to make one for yourself, jump in there, get dirty, use the 7-day free trial, see if you like it or not. Personally, I think it seems pretty cool. Now we also have another option for you, and this is create a video ad in minutes with Shaker. So AdExpresso was raving about Shaker so much that they even created this blog post. So what Shaker does is it builds a template or storyboard of sorts, and it allows you to fill it in with your own pictures and videos. So it kind of has a pre-made template to a video with transitions and such, and it tells you how that video should flow. So it's it might say, hey, put a shot here of your company logo. Hey, put a shot here of, someone helping someone. In these kind of descriptions. In this day and age, everyone has a camera, but the hard part's the technical skills. What kind of shots do I want to put? And they make that process easy. I can tell you that shooting video, the hardest part is storyboarding. No one likes doing it, but it's hugely important. So I like that they break down exactly what shots to use. So I want to ask you guys, if you have any suggestions for similar video tools, please leave them in the comments. Now I hope you guys enjoyed this week's edition of the Friday Reload, and make sure if you're listening to the video, for example, on YouTube, check us out on iTunes. We're really pushing hard there. We are trying to get our downloads up naturally. We're trying to get our subscribes up naturally. So a rating and a review. I mean, if I've asked you guys for comments before and things like that, if you can imagine how much time it takes me to put this, it takes a lot. A simple rating and review really helps us a lot, goes a long way, and if you really want to be awesome, subscribe. So even if you don't plan on listening there, if you still subscribe, that'll really help us out. But to round it out, if you want to go to digitaltriggers.io, that's where you can see all the links mentioned and you can read this content. If you go there too, the video will be posted so you can watch it, and we have the audio there, but you can also get the audio in iTunes. So we're making it as easy as we can for you to consume your Friday Reload and get caught up on what happened in the week. I'm Sweeney. I appreciate you joining me again, and I really hope to see you next Tuesday with another podcast. Take care.